At that point, I stopped. I thought I would never write a word again or never sing a word. I thought, I'm done. I can't deal with this. And I ended up having a preventive double mastectomy and total hysterectomy, and trying to care for my mother who was dying of cancer, and I had to deal with the emotional fallout of all of that.
Welcome to the True Fiction Project, a podcast series that explores the origins of fiction. Every week, we begin with an interview, nonfiction, followed by a creative piece, fiction, inspired by something from the interview. The idea is to demonstrate, of course, that fiction is born out of our life experiences. Now, here's your host, storyteller, author, public speaker, health and wellness expert, Reenita Hora.
Welcome to the True Fiction Project. I'm your host, Reenita Hora, always here to bring you a plethora of creative people. And today, I bring you Eva Moon. She is an author, a songwriter, a playwright, a screenwriter, a performer, and a former Huffington Post blogger. Oh my gosh, so prolific. And her plays and musicals have been staged across the US and UK. She is certainly, who I want to be when I grow up. And her solo musical Mutant Diaries, Unzipping My Jeans, is streaming on Amazon. Today she's going to talk about something else, a book that she's written, her first novel called Pinocchio's Guide to the End of the World. I can't wait to hear about that. So hi, Eva. Welcome to the True Fiction Project.
Hi, Reenita. Thank you for having me on your show.
Eva, you are writing so much and in so many different formats. I mean, I've just got to straight off the bat ask you how you manage. It's so impressive.
Well, I'm old, I guess. It didn't happen all at the same time. It's gone back a few years, and I'm a storyteller, and it just takes different forms. Songs are stories, plays are stories, screenplays are stories, books are stories. The story kind of tells me what format it wants to be in, and I've had different phases.
And I have to ask you, because people always ask me, and as well, I mean, do you have the luxury of deciding which format, or are you assigned to something? Or has that changed?
It's entirely up to me what format I work in. It's not entirely up to me. It's kind of up to this alien. I think of my writing as sort of like the movie Alien, and whatever comes out is whatever is chewing its way through my chest.
I see. How did you break into all of these different formats? Was that easy? I cannot imagine it, it's been a slam dunk.
No, it's well, I've been a musician for a very long time. That's where it started. And I started songwriting when my groups that I was performing with had a summer hiatus. And I just didn't have anything musical to do. So that's when I got into songwriting. And then things sort of evolved from there. I started performing my original songs at clubs and restaurants and places like that. And then I started doing patter between the songs. And the patter and the songs kind of blended together and started doing stories where, 3 songs with some storytelling in between would make a single unit of story, and so the one woman shows sort of grew out of that, and then the plays grew and I started focusing more on the stories and less on the songs. And then screenwriting started when I had this idea for a play, but it just wouldn't work on stage. It needed to be a movie. But that involved like 3 years of screenwriting school. So, there's things to learn everywhere along the line.
Clearly. And patter between the songs, is that, industry terminology, or is that what you call it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just the chat you have with the audience between songs. You tell them little stories. They might ask you questions, or they respond, and then you respond to that. So it's a kind of a sort of impromptu storytelling.
Amazing. So your Amazon show, The Mutant Diaries, Unzipping My Jeans, Genes, sounds very intriguing. How did that come about, and how did it get to Amazon? give us a little insight.
Well, wasn't produced by Amazon. It was my own production, and it's available streaming through Amazon. That is quite a story in and of itself, because I had been performing my one-woman shows and my music, and then about 10, 12 years ago, I learned that I had a genetic mutation that gave me an 87% chance of breast cancer and a 55% chance of ovarian cancer.
Oh my goodness.
And at the time, my mother was dying of cancer from the same mutation. And so at that point, I stopped. I thought I would never write a word again or never sing a word. I thought, I'm done. I can't deal with this. And I ended up having a preventive double mastectomy and total hysterectomy, and trying to care for my mother, who was dying of cancer. And I had to deal with the emotional fallout of all of that. And that's what led to the Mutant Diaries.
Comes out of
the Mutant Diaries is a one-woman show about that whole experience. It's not a downer; it's a comedy, actually. But it's kind of how I processed everything that happened to me during that time, and I've been able to take that on tour and around the country and twice to the UK to help other people who are going through traumatic upheavals in their lives, and how like I'm on the other side of it, and I'm good right now. So,
as you speak, it's reminding me of the idea, although it's different, of Fleabag, the show, one woman show.
Yeah, I love that show.
It started off as a one-woman show on stage. A show on Amazon, you wrote this, you produced this, it now streams on Amazon. Is that the way to get on Amazon, would you say, rather than waiting around for, Amazon to pick up a show, pitch it to them, produce it, that? I know there's no slam dunk, but, this is a question that many, many people will be asking our listeners. So I might as well ask you.
It's it's like selling a book on Amazon or selling a tea set on Amazon.
Yes.
You can be a vendor, and I produced the show. The show is actually a live recording of the show I did, a performance I did in Los Angeles. I had it put together as a DVD that was for sale. And as more and more people were abandoning DVDs, I just put it on Amazon as a vendor.
Got it.
So it makes it easy, because people don't have to pay for shipping. Yep. Then they don't have this thing that they watch once and have no more use for.
Right.
And they can watch it anytime for just a couple of bucks.
Absolutely.
So
that's great.
It's worked out well to distribute it that way.
So Pinocchio's Guide to the End of the World. This is a novel?
It is a novel.
Your first novel, your debut novel. Wow, look at it.
Yes.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about it. How did it come to be?
Actually, sort of the end point of the journey that started with the discovery of my genetic mutation. After I did the Mutant Diaries, and that was very autobiographical. That was the exact story. But even after, there were things that I was dealing with in terms of my body image, even though I felt healthy and strong and recovered from my surgeries and all of that. There's, this emotional fallout that stays with you. And I wrote this short play called Geppetto's Funeral. And it was about Pinocchio at midlife, looking back at his life with regrets, that what had he done with this human life that he'd been given? And, should he have just stayed a wooden boy? It was like a 20-minute play. But the characters stayed with me even after, the play had been produced and I'd moved on to other things, but I kept thinking about him as this person who had been made of wood, and then the blue fairy comes along and waves her magic wand and turns him into a real boy. And, everyone assumes that it's like happily ever after that, and that he was just fine with all of that. And I had this perspective that I had gone through enormous physical transformation. And I wasn't fine with it. I know his was desired and mine wasn't desired, but there was this disconnect between how I felt on the inside and the outside. And I thought, well, he had to have had some feeling of imposter syndrome.
Yes.
That he's out walking in the world wearing this human body, but inside he knows that he still feels like that same wooden boy.
Yeah.
And so I sort of used him in my novel as a way to figure out how you reconcile externals with internals. With how you feel on the inside and how the world perceives you on the outside. And what did it take for him to finally integrate into one authentic self?
Absolutely. So much of your own journey, your own discovery, in the form of fiction, fantasy fiction, but even in fantasy, everything is not neatly wrapped up in a bow, which I love. Fantasy is not reality, but that's the reality of fantasy. I don't know.
Sometimes through fantasy, you can get at truths.
Yes.
That are harder to get to if you're just trying to be completely realistic. You can explore things that are hard to explore in other ways.
Amazing. Well, I cannot wait to hear you read. So in your hands, Eva.
Okay, I'll read you the first couple of pages from the book. And this is in Pinocchio's voice.
And now to the premise of the True Fiction Project, which of course is to create fiction out of nonfiction.
Sure, I can tell you what happened. No one will believe it, even though they all know I can't lie. It's been so long. Nearly everyone who was involved in that business is gone. God rest their souls. But someone should know. If it's true what those scientists say, that if you wait long enough, dry land becomes sea and sea becomes dry land, then someday the bottom of the sea might rise up into mountains, and on one of those mountains a tree might grow. It's a little different from the others. Whoever finds that tree might discover what's hiding inside. Then where will we be? You and I won't even be dust's own memory of dust by then. The day she made me a real boy, I was maybe 10, 11 years old. It's not the kind of thing I can be exact about. When would you count from? The day Papa carved me? The day the tree fell? The day the acorn pushed out its first white rootlet? It was the summer of 1910. The first automobile anyone had seen with their own eyes had driven through our dusty little Tuscan town a month before, and people were still talking about it. The weather was so blazing hot, even the crickets couldn't be bothered to chirp. But I took off running just for the joy of feeling bone beneath muscle beneath skin for the first time. By the time I got home, she was gone, and it would be many years before I saw her again. I'd promised her I'd always be truthful and obey my papa. Being truthful was easy. I can't lie. The last time I tried was when Father Mateo asked me if I knew who painted "Kiss Me" on his forehead when he fell asleep in the vestry. My nose hadn't grown more than a pimple since I was changed, but even if I thought about lying, it itched like hell, and if a lie managed to get past my lips, I couldn't stop sneezing until I confessed the truth. I had no such disability when it came to obedience, but I did my best anyway. I hardly ever skipped school, and I worked in the shop nearly every day before and after. I swept up enough wood shavings to build an army of marionettes, and carried enough buckets of water to drown every one of them. But there were lapses, mostly thanks to Ludovico, that ham-faced bully. He hated me for the crime of being different. The other boys might have just let it go in time, but with him egging them on, I got into fights almost daily. It didn't help that he was right. I had been given a human body, but inside, I still felt the same as before. Papa tried to tell me it didn't matter, but he and every other person in the world had been made the usual way. No magic could erase the fact that I was more closely related to the chair you're sitting on than my own Papa. I'll stop there.
I can't wait to read the rest of it. Oh my gosh, that is so, wow, grabby an opening. For lack of,
Thank you.
Anything else to say. Eva, thank you so much. Where can we find your work? Please let our listeners know.
Well, I have a website at evamoon.net, not .com, it's .net.
Okay.
And, or if you search my name, it's all over Google. And the book is available on Amazon. The audio book is a really, I'm very happy with the audio book. The man who read it did just a fabulous job. And it's on all the major booksellers. It's in libraries. It was won Best Independent Novel of 2023 in Washington State last year. So it's that was from the Library Association. And books, you can ask any bookseller and they'll order it. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make sure to link all of the show notes, include all of this in the show notes and link to all of that below. So Eva, good luck with it. Would love to have you back on the show and talk about some of your musicals. I mean, wouldn't that be fab? All right. Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Okay, thank you.
That is Eva Moon. She is a songwriter, a playwright, a screenwriter, a novelist, a prolific writer of seems like whatever needs to be written. And this is the True Fiction Project. I'm your host, Reenita Hora.
Thank you for listening to the True Fiction Project with Reenita Hora. Be sure to subscribe to the newsletter to receive more inspiring stories showing how fiction is born from our everyday experiences. For more information, visit www.truefictionproject.com.